Find your echo. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace.
Yeah. Peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome to another rendition of 360, the real show 360 live right here. I go by the divine attribute of Superior KY's bold son of law, aka Kato, the black superhero. And right now I have the privilege and honor of bringing to you a man of great prestige, a great man of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I'm going to introduce to some and present to those who may not know. This brother goes by the name of Freedom, Righteous Attribute Freedom. Some may know him as Darren Green. Peace, God, and welcome to 360, the real.
Peace, God. It's my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Well, I'm going to right now wait and see what's going on with my co-host. He's MIA right about now, but it's all good.
Right.
We still going to keep moving on and doing what we're supposed to do.
No doubt.
Let the truth be made manifest. So God, won't you go ahead and give us a small bio about yourself and who you are and what you bring into the platform today?
Basically, peace to the nation, peace to all the human family watching. Supreme attribute is God and I Allah. Most people know me as Darren Freedom Green. Most call me Free. Community advocate. My full-time occupation, I am the community liaison for Trenton Housing Authority. I have 11 sites, 11 buildings, really 11 communities within the community where I work and provide programs for our babies, certainly young parents, rebuilding what was broken, what still remains broken within our community, which is our families. We have 3 senior complexes, so it's a continuum of providing bridges to resources, opportunities, and programs for the human family here in Trenton Housing in Trenton, New Jersey. I operate and move through the political arena, ran for mayor 4 years ago. We're lining up, the groundwork is being put in play again. Next November is the next election, and we're looking to be the next mayor of this city. So I do a lot of work in terms of a community advocate. I don't like to use the term community activist because to me, it puts me in a position or a space and place where I'm isolated doing something that nobody else can do or others sit around and wait to do. 10th degree makes it clear to us that there are no mystery gods. If there are no mystery gods, there ought to be no mystery leaders or leadership qualities within our community. And I like to just say I'm a community advocate. I'm one of the community, an individual who educates himself so I can be an advocate of our rights. And I use my voice, my platform to speak, educate, empower, and elevate us as a collective whole.
Peace, beautiful. Truly enjoy that. Well, I'm gonna get right to it. What influenced you into the political arena as far as in your early stages of life and livelihood? What is it that you saw within your community, within your timeline out there that you say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna make this change. I'm gonna be that. I can do what they're doing, but more on a positive way. What influenced you in that matter?
A great shepherd by the name of Pastor S. Howard Woodson Jr. He was a part of the Senate, Matter of fact, he was the Speaker of the House here. He was the first Black Speaker of the House here in New Jersey. He was a pastor of the church my father went to, and at the age of God, essentially, I sat underneath him and just watched him move, watched how he was an advocate for the people, and he constantly drew up and talked to me that we can talk all day, march all day, move all day, but if we do not educate and empower the people to get to a place and point where we shape policy, physical legislation that will be able to address our issues, our needs, our concerns, then nothing will ever change. And you still see that deficiency in our communities. For example, we marched all over the place, 196,940,000 square miles, yet no policy has been put in place to address the tragic reality of George Floyd being murdered right in front of us. So as a collective body of people, I like to move into a political position where I can put my hands on legislation, author it up, move it through the system, and then have it in place to address the people's needs, but also empower the people to be able to move forward. So one was Dr. S. Howard Woodson Jr., and then of course, Almighty Allah. When I saw and learned the history of how he navigated Mayor Lindsay, all of the manner in which the law carried himself, where he always put himself not to be political, but to deal, connect, and operate in the political arena, bringing resources to the school, bringing resources to the babies, and also being an individual who was identified as a power source. When Dr. King was assassinated, they came and got the father to move throughout the community to calm the storm, but also because his magnetic attraction, his connection to the people showed me that true impact is about being connected to the people, where you weave a narrative based on your daily words, ways, and actions that allows you to establish a credibility. So when you go into the community, people are not trying to examine and see if you're trustworthy. They already know you, and you're able to move the determined idea into motion. So those are two of the key and critical figures who moved me into the desire to be in the political arena, Dr. Woodson and Almighty Allah.
Peace. That's beautiful right there. So dealing with the now time and situations going on politically, especially what we're dealing with right now with this pandemic, epidemic situation, you know what I'm saying? I build on this so many times internally with my wisdom and with other guards and nurses when we talk about it. And I'm like, when I talk to people in the medical field dealing with the CDCs and blood people, especially for bottom, whatever you want to call them, how their political name is, practice names is, a lot of things that's being said on the television coming across and saying that we're covered. If you got the vaccine, you're in the safest environment. But what's really happening is those people who are fully vaccinated are the ones who are dying rapidly, are also the ones who are still transmitting to those who have not been vaccinated.
Correct.
So what are we to believe when this hand says this one and this hand says the other? So in a political arena, what steps do you have to take to say so you don't tread lightly, as like they want to say, you know what I'm saying? So making sure what you say is politically correct and everything like that. What is your view and contact and point on this situation going on now, especially within Jersey? Because a lot of information I got came from the Children's Deficiency Center out there in Jersey.
I mean, it's a difficult topic because you have to always remember, one of the things Dumar, who was another individual who influenced me to spark and speak in the manner that I do, he said we get caught up on individuals and we forget that we are up against systems. So when you look at this, you have to look at the systems that are designed for our demise. And you have to say that, if you don't say that, then people aren't clear. If they're not clear, they don't have understanding. They don't have understanding. Those who have knowledge and wisdom haven't done our job as civilized people. So when you talk about where we are, we need more individuals who are like you and myself in this field with these platforms so that we can go into these areas with an expertise and be able to do what's necessary and be able to give our people the right information. Because right now, we're just moved based on fear. So again, I go to the sources, I do my due diligence, I do my research. There are a number of, I spend a lot of time up in Newark as well. The Honorable Raz Baraka has a number of connections in terms of original men and women who are doctors in this field, scientists in this field. He brings them on his live post that he does 3 times a week, and they lay out the facts in regards to our communities, where we are, the things that are happening. So I strive to stay connected to people who are already in the field, who are giving us the truth and giving us the ability to have discernment. Because again, like you know, we're going to always be driven by fear, because fear occupies a space where understanding should be. And because our people are always not well researched, because we are pushed through the school system, because unfortunately, a lot of times we're functionally illiterate, and putting it in a politically correct way. We're not able to do the due diligence, research on our own, and find out the actual facts as they are, and then be able to apply ourselves in a manner where we can make the best decisions for ourselves. We're constantly driven by fear. There's always something coming around. There's always something coming. And then when it unfolds itself, all the facts they said were actual end up being lies. And the only way you can be able to draw up and deal with that is to have a firm foundation based on the sources and the research that you do, and the people you go to who you know don't have an agenda, who you know are giving it to you straight, no chaser, and they aren't bought off by the system. Because a lot of times those individuals who operate in that arena, and that's one of the things that almost kind of keeps me on the outskirts sometimes, is I can't be bought. People want to use my voice. They want me to send a lot of messages. Like all through this, I've been asked to do videos. I've been asked to use my platform. And again, I haven't, because you have to be careful with what you align with, because if you do, now you become part of those who move us in the wrong direction instead of the right. So I stay connected to those who are within the field, who are credible. I stay connected to research, and like yourself, we were taught to go do the knowledge, which is keen and critical observation, so we can find out the information for ourselves, draw it up in a form where we can bring it to the people, make understanding understood, and move us into a cultural context or reality where we do have power. We are equally balanced. We show improvements, no mystery, God, because we're the centerpiece of all that's occurring. We build to be born. The cipher is what we make it, which is our reality, and we take it right back to the knowledge again.
True indeed, God. Wise words spoken very well. You said the key word right there, which is a lot of things that people have the unknown knowledge about, which is fear. When you are unknown to something, you can be told anything about it to keep you in track, or to keep you in line, or to keep you in due bound, or under due guard for somebody else's purpose and agenda.
Right.
And so what we're going to continue to do is teach the truth,
right,
and always elevate the mindset, because we got to be the show and prove out there for it.
Right.
Because if we don't, then we're going to fall by the wayside just like everybody else. And wise words will always give wise counseling. So let's be about it. And I love what you're doing. I think we got, I just missed, might have been a call on the line coming to make some comments on what we're doing. But I want to talk about the outreach program that you have going on. If you can elaborate a little bit more about that, so the people can understand what you're doing out there, and so we can push this out to everybody between New York and New Jersey in the tri-state area, so they can come down and support you, what you got going on.
A lot of what we're doing here, if you notice in a lot of cities, most urban environments are filled with nonprofits. Nonprofits are organizations who actually are part of the city governance and government in terms of the budgetary reality. So we connect people here in terms of the outreach programs with medical opportunities. They really, in our community, Black and brown to be particular, there are so many nonprofits who offer up services that you don't have to pay for. And we oftentimes neglect our health. For instance, there's a program we deal with where the babies can get free dental care, right? How many times you look in our community, many of our older people, our older family members and friends are walking around and their dental work is out of order because they simply thought they couldn't afford or didn't have benefits to, and they are now walking around with their mouths out of order. There are programs that we do here. We have dentists that come in and they have almost like the van that you see going around in the community, Blood Mobile, where they do free dental care programs for the babies. They are, I'm connected to the school system. So we work now with the high school, and we also work with what's called Mercer County Community College. There now, because of all the money that's been put out because of COVID, there are free programs going on where we have to go simply arrive at the college and we can begin to do and get ourselves lined up with these free opportunities, these internships, these opportunities for career advancements. One of the things that our babies don't realize, and when I say babies, I usually go from knowledge to knowledge born. So when we talk about that 1 to 19 in that area there, where they become the transition into being grown, because nobody is speaking their language and moving them in the right direction, they see school as a formality, when in all actuality, it's the tool that's going to move you out of poverty. It's the vehicle that's going to allow you to shape and mold your career. What I teach to the babies here is, listen, you don't want to pick up a job because it's going to keep you with the acronym of being just over broke. You want to build whatever it is your purpose or design is and fashion it into a career so you're not hourly, you're salary. And you want to fix yourself in such a manner where you're able to navigate the world and the career opportunities where you're in demand. The speaking I do, whether it be on schools or campuses or colleges or even professional development, it is in demand. So I tell the babies now, you begin to look at, there's a program that I teach and deal with that, and I'll give my contact information at the end so anybody want to contact me to do that. It allows them to be able to see how to shape and mold their career and the things that they're doing. One of the other things, programs we do in terms of outreach is we have a lot of young parents who are simply learning on the fly how to be parents. So we have programs that help them deal with financial literacy, that help them deal with, again, career development, that help them deal with trauma care. Because when you look at communities like Trenton last year, we had 40 homicides here. We're on our 15th right now. These are family members, friends, community members who were taken through gun violence. So most of the people we deal with, we interact with, have some form of trauma. They don't treat it, and they give that same craziness, and I don't say craziness, but they give that same dysfunctional behavior to their babies. So a lot of the programs we offer here is to give to them a better foundation to be able to deal with what they're dealing with, to get the counseling they may need, and get them in a space and place mentally where they can move forward, be productive and constructive. In terms of the seniors, we do a lot of program in terms of getting them out of the building, which they need, because seniors oftentimes are fixated. Sadly, in our communities, Black and brown, we put them into senior sentences and we don't go see them. We don't take care of them. They don't interact. So we bring them out. For instance, I take them on trips to the Parks Casino, Atlantic City. They go out to eat. Getting them out of the building, letting them interact, letting them move around, which allows them to express, to build, to feel free. So I take them down to Columbus Market, where they, again, can just get out of that building, that stale, static, and stagnant environment, and be able to move around. So those are just some of the things we work on in terms of babies in school and education, the young parents educating and empower themselves in career development, and then the engagement component with our seniors, who oftentimes are left on Pelon, isolated islands, where we oftentimes don't go see or deal with them until they physically transition.
Indeed. Peace. Speaking of, again, going back to the educational curriculum with the youth, and also dealing with the pandemic issue. Since now they have this strand Delta being popularized and polarized throughout all four corners of the universe.
Right.
What measures have you taken to prepare or and let your knowledge be born and made aware to our community centers there and our region in Trenton as far as abroad, so your program can still function? Because for instance, I know that here in North Carolina, the people are starting to put the mandates back on for the mask, which, you know, I'm understanding for. I'm with it to a certain point and degree. As far as with the children, and I'm gonna give my point like this here: children going in the classroom environment with the mask on. Now, I'm like this. I understand to protect your baby, you want to do everything you got to do, which is fine, exact. But the thing is, parents should be also made aware of how long what type of mask you're giving to your children,
right? That
they're going to be in the school, because the level 1 mask ain't nothing but just a filtered paper, right, that just still allows particles to come in, but at a slower rate. But you still can be a product of that which will destroy you.
Right.
And another thing is you can't have it on, but for so long, because you have to take it off and get rid of it and apply another one. So we have to make these educational things aware to the parents of the children that's sending these kids to schools with these disposable masks, which really don't last but for so long within an hour's time frame. So are you giving community teachings and elevate, like you said, I know you said you've been working out with a lot of the doctors and nurses and stuff that you know out there, but that's one of the things that you're teaching when you're speaking to the children, the babies out there?
We are. And then one of the things we're going to be moving into doing as they start to line up to go back to school, we're going to be doing community forums where all of what you're talking about is given to the parents in terms of literature, in terms of education. We're going to be bringing, we have doctors and we have scientists here who are original, just like ourselves, who give out the facts. And again, they work within city government themselves, and they are going to be a part of these community forums where we're going to be able to lay the groundwork where our people can be educated, they can be empowered, and they can make informed decisions. Not all fear, but all facts. And again, one of the things I'm looking to, I've connected with the new superintendent who we have here, and one of the things I'm going to be looking to build within every school is called Parent University. Each school I've found is a different community within itself, operates in a different path and manner. But within the circumference of that school, we'll have an office where the parents can contact on a daily basis, have a representative there, connected with myself as well, to be able to help them stay empowered about what's going on, what the school is doing, what's going on CDC-wise, what changes have been made, where are we at medically, what's the environment. To your point, we're going to educate them on the different types of masks, what is the duration of the mask, everything. So again, they're informed and empowered to be able to make these decisions for themselves, because what we've gone away from is we're now codependent upon our schools to shape and mold our homes. No, the home is actually the first institution of learning where everything should be shaped from. And too much of our power is being empowered or counting on the school to do our jobs. So part of my community advocacy work is going out and talking to parents home, right in their community, about what we're doing, where we're doing it, how we're doing it, so they can become a part of it. Because again, when you start talking about rebuilding communities, if you're not talking about families, you're not having a serious discussion. And again, as you and I both know, there are agencies strategically designed to erode us from being what we always were, was a strong, vibrant family. So my work will be in the schools, it'll be in the communities, but it'll be dual effect where we're giving them the information so that they can make an informed decision about the mask, what rules aren't in play, what policies are being put in play. And we also incorporate our elected officials who are here to be a part of that conversation, not doing a lot of talking, but doing a lot of listening. So you can hear what parents' concerns and issues are, because what I found in affluent communities, elected officials listen to the people. In impoverished and oppressed communities, they come out and dictate to the people. And we have to change that dynamic so the trajectory of where we're going as a collective and comprehensive whole changes, because Fred Hampton said, wherever the people are is where the power is. The law said power means to be able to make an impact, to shape, to mold, to elevate, and power mathematically borns power. So I don't come nowhere looking to shine Darren Freedom Green. I come to see where Darren Freedom Green can empower others to be powerful, and then our communities become the spark in the lighthouse in the dark hour.
Beautifully said, God. Beautifully said. One of the things that I want to add on and touch base to, and then you can apply science with it. The greatest thing that I've seen evolving now throughout all time, as it relates to myself in this time space, is where the original people, I mean, those who have knowledge help, those who don't, those who are in the other format of whatever religion that they follow. The one thing that I've noticed is that this community is coming together.
Right.
And the main thing we're leaving out is whose God is better than this God. When we're not dealing with that, we're dealing with the science of what's going on for all. Right. Who is the one that's trying to destroy all of us and stopping us from collectively coming together? For when you come collectively, you see a greater God than all the gods you can even imagine. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, no doubt. Great point, when we take out the aspect of the religious point, and we look at it on a human side, the humanity, and we understand the reason what hue is to the man. When we understand that, we come collectively and build, the community will have such a strong compact in the system to where you will force a change. You will force a condition that has been poorly dealt with to be dealt with now on a level that everybody can come to and be like, you know what? I'm proud that we were able to do this. This is what we strive for. This is what we're working for and working towards, a better community in our system. So I've seen it. I do my due diligence. Like you said, God, I walk with everybody. It don't matter. I'll go. I have a good time talking with an atheist. You know why? Because you can learn a lot from them, from what they feel. If you don't know, you're not going to know. And if you don't ask, you won't find out for yourself. That's where the mystery comes in. You ask these questions. You ask what you need to do. What can I do for you? What do y'all need done that we can get this thing done together? I ain't worried about what your faith is or anything like that. I'm talking about let's build community as a people and move forward. That's destroying the real devil civilization.
Exactly. And one of the quotes that we often don't hear enough of, but you hear all the ones that the law was alleged to have said. The law said we don't talk about nobody. And I remember Umar used to always say that to me. We don't talk about nobody. And the reason why Allah made that a jewel was because the moment you talk about or put other people into the cipher in terms of the conversation, oftentimes it becomes the pen, which becomes the opinion of the division that keeps us fragmented in our own directions. When, like you said, as a collective whole, we're that much stronger. And when we come together and deal with the things that are approaching, that are against us, we do that much better when we focus as a collective community. And that is one of the reasons why I can build with anybody like yourself in any community without getting into a conversation that divides. I'm just here to address the issues. You get into the personalities, you get off into something which takes us away from the resolution and strategic action plans to resolve the issues that brought us all together anyway. So I just stay building on what is the issue, what needs to be done, and how can I assist in bringing both of those to the table in terms of going from knowledge to born and completing them, and then empowering others to be able to do the same. Because the other piece, and I'll end with this, what we don't want to do is become in our communities like Al Sharpton. I respect that elder, respect that brother, but a lot of times we wait for figureheads like that to come in and tell us what needs to be done. No, if you're existing in a geographical environment, you're experiencing all that's going on. You need to draw it up, build with those around you, and begin to produce the thoughts, ideas, and solutions that will allow your community to move to where you know it needs to be. If Al Sharpton comes in or some figure like that comes in and speaks to it, they're going to bring an emotional moment. And then when they leave, you're still going to be sitting, waiting, and watching for that mystery that doesn't exist. The answer, the solution, even oftentimes the problem is us. So once we get aligned with dealing with things from an us perspective, then we will resolve those issues, which oftentimes demoralize and destroy the only thing we really have, which is us.
True indeed. That's real peace and magnetic, God. I just want to give a big shout out right now to Libation Radio Network. This is sponsoring our show, the Real 360. And again, I am the co-host, DJ K Wise, aka Superior K Wise, both son of law. Peace to the gods and nurse. My co-host is Josh Shamel Allah, aka Mr. PhD. He's not in right now. If he still comes, get the time to come on, we're gonna blend him in. But if not, he's still doing what we're doing. I just want to give a shout out to everybody out there. And at this time, God, I want you to tell everybody how can they get in contact with you and the resources they need to reach out and touch with you and the community activist services that you provide.
No doubt. You can hit me on my email, which is my name, my honorable name, Darren Green, DARRENGREEN1969 at gmail.com. Or, I'm not running from nobody. 609-209-0400 is my mathematics to my cell phone. I don't give people my office number because I'm never sitting in my office. I'm always in the field doing the work. You can catch me in either one of those. Email me, correspond, and I will certainly get back to you and assist you in any way I can. I'll just say this though. A lot of what we're looking to do is already in our community. We simply just have not connected ourselves to it. Part of politics is politicking, meaning an advanced form of networking. Your networking will move and advance your net worth. And the reason why you're able to do that is as you connect with more people who have the things you need and desire to be able to do what you deem needs to be done, those things and those people, those relationships become a valuable asset to where you're going. But if all you're doing is isolating yourself and not having yourself building and networking with people who are doing what you desire to do, then it's a difficult place and space to be. So when you contact me, we'll build on whatever it is you're trying to do, and I'll work to assist in the manner that I can, but also connect you to agencies that already do that work. If there's nothing new under the sun, then we have to already know that all that we need is already right here. We just have to be committed to addressing it and then sustaining it. Because the other piece that I'll say is don't just come out for an emotional moment. If there are systems designed for our demise, they are always at work. So if somebody's always working to destroy us, we must always be working to be on the top part of that 8, which is to build and advance and add on. The most powerful word or conjunction there is build or destroy. So there's always a choice. And by default, many of us in our neglect choose the bottom part, which is destroy. You must be consistently committed and disciplined to build self, family, community, nation, reality.
Sure, indeed. Part of that mainstream of falling victim under the destroy aspect is because, number one, just like in the lesson said within the 136, he likes the devil because the devil gives him nothing.
Right.
When you're fed nothing, you susceptible to everything. Once you accept nothing, you're trapped under that nothingness. So nothing from nothing will leave nothing, but you think you're getting something because you're tricked.
Right.
That's being blind, deaf, and dumb to
Right.
what's going on, even in plain sight.
No doubt.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why we said, it's in plain sight. So the thing is, what I try to do now, what I'm getting ready to base on is I'm gonna start a platform and go down to the library here in Winston-Salem, and I'm gonna look up do the business report on all Black-owned businesses. So I'm gonna get a collectivity of them, and I'm gonna start going out nation building with them and say,
Right.
hey, listen, what is it that y'all doing that you feel that what you need to do is get to the community so we can build and resource our own selves, because every day they know that we are the greatest consumers in the whole nation.
Yep.
So when we take what we worked so hard for 365 days out of year and pour it right back into their community, we still stuck in the same environment while they're elevating to another level of money. Right. And we wonder, where all my money go? The money went right back to who you gave it to, instead of pouring it back into your community and building your community up. But see, the thing is that when we know this as a fact, because history has that trail. Every time we start nation building and they see we're getting stronger and that we don't need their product, we don't need their resources because we're having our own, here comes the bomb, drop down. Now we done lost our Black Wall Street. Now we got to rebuild somewhere else. We done lost the Roswell. We done lost everything on. We got cities that were named after us that's buried underneath the lakes that people don't even know about. You know what I mean? These were true and living cities that had Black people that's still buried underneath them on man-filled lakes that they don't, especially in upstate New York. You know what I mean? And people don't even realize about.
Whole community.
Being straight from absolutely, being born and raised in New York, it's always been that way to know and have a true understanding. And I thank my parents for laying the foundation for me to elevate myself to.
And one of the things that drew me into the political arena too was seeing great leaders use what you're talking about, their position to make decisions to change conditions. In Atlanta, which is now known as the Black Mecca, because it's built so many Black and brown entrepreneurial opportunities for businesses, there are millionaires who have been built up in that city. But all of that is based on the catalyst, which he never gets the credit, Mayor Maynard Jackson. And he was one of the people who really made me desire to be mayor, because what happened, and here's the history, they came in with the design of the Atlanta airport, which is one of the greatest airports in the world. But what Maynard Jackson did as the mayor, he shut it down. He did not allow no building to begin until he saw what he wanted on paper, and then that the investment was going to be made in every aspect, from building it up to the food distribution. Every aspect of construction was laid out on paper. So even something as simple as meals being brought to the airport as it's being built, you have companies who do that. I'll give you a perfect example. We just built a new high school here a couple years ago. The outside, once the ground was, once they began to set it up for demolition, they put a security gate up. The security gate being put up cost $180,000. You know, they went and got a company from Philadelphia to put the gate up here in Trenton. So again, when you talk about the decisions in impoverished communities, the leadership, this is why I want to be the mayor, you sit at the table and you make a complete investment in the people, places, and things who live in that geographical area. And once you take those millions and invest them in the people who are living there, you delve or deal with one of the #1 variables that causes crime and criminal behavior, which is poverty. And when you begin to move companies from surviving into thriving, you also set up a caveat. For instance, if you had a business, I bring you in and give you a contract. The young men who work underneath your purview and tutelage are not just going to learn a skill, vocation, trade, or whatever it is you do. They're also going to learn Black manhood. They're going to be around you. They're going to learn the science of everything in life. They're going to learn how to be a father. They're going to learn how to be a responsible man. So all of these lessons, which oftentimes aren't on paper, can be taught once the leadership or leaders invest in the businesses that are in a geographical area that they govern. But if you watch most cities, they invest in companies who don't live there. And that money comes in and then leaves out with those companies, and the people living there are left out. And then they're wondering why people are always with their back against their wall, moving in survival mode. So again, shout out, salute to great mayors like Maynard Jackson, Harold Washington in Chicago, original men. Even when you talk about, people wonder why Marion Barry is respected as a mayor in the city he was in. It's because he provided programs, resources, and opportunities for the people living there. This man was indicted and caught on video smoking crack. But because he was building as a builder to produce building in his community, his constituents supported him each and every time. So they'll move past your physical inequalities and deal with your physical responsibility as you move the capacity of those people up. So again, when we talk about the political arena, we have to move from being 20 miles outside the holy city of Mecca, and we got to qualify ourselves to go in.
That's peace, God. That's peace. This has truly been an enlightening moment for me, for real, and very inspirational and educational at the same time. So I'm sure that in this stature, for people who's watching, if you want to call in and have any words you would like to say, you can call and reach us right now at 336-807-9299. My phone line is open. It is right here. You can hit me up. That's 336-807-9299. This is the real 360 show with me, KY Azallah, my co-host Josh Allah, who's absent at this point in time, but he's not absent-minded. He's just absent doing what he's doing. He must be tired because I know the God works hard. But we carrying on like it's supposed to be, man. This is the platform where we bring you the truth, the best way we can from the sources. We ain't going no from the backside of anything. We coming straight from the mouth to get the real truth, what you're hearing. So again, for those who don't know, we are interviewing the great Darren Green, best known as Freedom.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, true indeed.
Let me give him one jewel.
That looks. Go ahead, girl.
Let me give him one jewel. You'll often hear in Black and brown communities, I don't do politics, right? You hear people say, I don't do politics. Well, the response appropriately given to them is you don't do life, because politics is the centerpiece that really controls all aspects of life. Dr. King in his speech, Give Us the Ballot, laid it out. Politics is the arena where we shape policy to address our needs, issues, and concerns. But if the people don't show up, then the policies get shaped, but they're not beneficial to the mass majority of the people living in that geographical area. So when you say why is politics important, politics really controls 5 central areas: housing, healthcare, education, economics, social justice. So when you look at those 5 areas and you see Black and brown people being deficient in all those areas, is because 2 things. We elect leaders who only have name recognition, notoriety, and popularity. Leaders are people who come in, he or her. So we won't be deal with misogyny. We will elevate and support females who do this work as well. But we want people who lead and produce 2 things: results and leaders underneath their purview. You should be teaching. You should be reaching in such a way that people underneath you become better than you in the capacity you work in. Second thing is you want people to be able to go out and reproduce not only what you're doing, but on a higher level of what you're doing. So when we talk about education, look at our schools. Our schools are some of the most deplorable ones in the country. When you look at the inner cities, they're either closing our schools are deplorable in terms of the physical conditions that exist there. They're usually old, archaic, and out of pocket. And we ask our babies to go into the worst and become their best. No, we got to do better than that. And when we don't do that, it's because we don't have proper representation in that area. Economics, you're talking about the job. You and I were just talking about how economics and millions come into the city, but don't go right back into the people who are of the city. That is controlled through the political arena. Housing. Most of our communities, a lot of times when you move through them, if it's 50 houses on a block, a lot of times 20 are abandoned. So when you don't have elected officials who sit in these seats to be able to make sure funding is coming into the community to remove the blight and build up quality housing, so the babies don't come out and navigate through an area that looks like a third world country, which directly impacts their psychological well-being and their self-esteem, then they stop moving and building as if they are the best because they live on the poor part of the planet. When you talk about healthcare, look at us now. When you talk about the pandemic, people were dying in disproportionate numbers before the pandemic, but the pandemic has now illuminated that because all the stuff we were suffering with has now been directly attacked by this virus. But again, we don't have the resources here. They close hospitals in our communities and move them to the outskirts. And then the last piece, social justice. You can go to any jail, you can go to any institution and see the disproportionate numbers as it pertains to Black and brown people. So again, we need to have people in these fields who are paying attention to what's going on now. Part of the legalization of the weed movement is a removal of the charges. Many brothers are behind walls now. So you now have companies oftentimes owned by Caucasian men that are making billions of dollars, but you have those same brothers who are behind bars with lengthy sentences who, because we haven't moved legislation to the table, that now they can't be released. So you can't now make billions off the same thing that put people behind bars for extensive years, months, and days. So again, why do you need politics? You need people sitting in those seats who represent your best interests, who become your voice in the meetings you can't go into and make decisions that change conditions that elevate generations to move from being fundamentally sound in terms of poverty to being generational wealth. And that's, for me, and I'm writing the history in advance, like we do and like we was taught. When I get in that seat, you're gonna see it move that way. But I just wanted to give that caveat because so many people are indoctrinated to hate politics. And politics is the tool that allows you to shape and mold your community. Something as simple as if you say, well, I got curbs and sidewalks that are in disrepair. That's a political issue. You have the right leadership in play. Those resources be put in play to make sure your community looks right and exact. It's the reason why when you go to affluent communities, they look the way they do, operate they do, move the way they do. Their elected officials are responding to the issues and concerns of the people. Otherwise, they won't sit in that seat. We've got to be registered to vote. We've got to be engaged. We've got to be educated, not just for big elections, but all elections. And we got to make ourselves qualified to sit in those seats, Carl. Thank you.
Peace. Now all right, since you brought that up, let's get right into the nuts and bolts. One of the things, and I used to be one of those people about, I look at politics as politics for those who don't have that keen eye of understanding to see it.
No doubt.
There's politics and there's politics. So let's get into the aspect. Now, one of the biggest things and the hardest things we have amongst ourselves as Black people, because we were put in a box community. And knowing that we are the true children of the sun, when we get heated, we have to expand. So when we expand, we have to push out. We have to explode. But when we confine into a community, where we're exploding to is on ourselves for all the wrong reasons. Right. So we have to be able to address those issues, because in the hearts of the ghettos or anywhere Black people are oppressed, we as those who are looking to make those changes have to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's perfectionately, because we're going to be scrutinized so much even by our own kind before the other.
Doubt. No doubt.
Because you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the hardest thing I feel like to attack, let's talk about the poverty issues of our Black peoples in the ghettos and the hoods, where the only way that they were taught to get out is to become a drug dealer, prostitute, a pimp, a pusher, or something. You know, now, at one point in time, these were the idols that we grew up looking at, especially in Black exploitation eras of the 70s. We look for the pimps, the pushers, the dope dealers to be the big voices in the streets, in the community. And we respected that. But at the same time, they were bringing it back to us, and then they were doing the same thing the slave master was doing, using us as a tool. So now we have a lot of Black and brown people who are very well educated in proper position jobs to make matters move. But if you ain't moving it to inspire your community to help move it along, your words fall on deaf ears. So what is it that what we can do, or say within your position right now, to not just looking at the police issue, because the police is definitely an issue, but in order to solve a issue of Black on Black, as they want to call it, you know, because crime is crime, period. It ain't got no color. But what makes it worse is when the crime is being committed on ourselves and it's doing us an unjust characterization, because we ain't doing nothing but staying at the bottom of the barrel where they want to keep us. The moment we estrange ourselves from that and stop the killing, the Black on Black killing, and the Black on Black ignorance, we will see a major change. But in order to do that, what aspects can you see or give to say you have made these results proof positive, and it can be done at a higher level each time if we take these steps to do it? So I'm asking you, from your perspective, what have you done to say, hey, when the community, somebody comes up and say, yo, do you know that brother, man, is shooting for the mayor, man, Brother Green? Yeah. What has he done for the community? And so the people can say, this is what he's done. So what are some of your programs and thought issues that you have combated in this manner to say, hey, we got to kill that?
We work, well, one of the things, and you dropped a powerful jewel. We first enforce that Black on Black crime is an anomaly. It doesn't exist. It's a tool used by those keeping us oppressed in this system to make us look at like we're the only people doing that. If there's not a brown on brown crime, a white on white crime, then why is there Black on Black crime? That's a tool to keep us looking in the wrong direction, which is to internally hate ourselves. So that's one. Two, when you begin to deal with the internal hate, if we don't go back and address the self-hate produced by us being enslaved and killing our own selves and perpetuating what the slave master did, then a lot of that healing from internally does not get corrected. So within our communities, I work with a beautiful, beautiful queen named Kimmy Carlos, who comes in and does therapeutic sessions. She's a therapist, and she allows the curriculum that she teaches to come in and do workshops. So we're dealing with all that trauma. Again, when you look in our communities, when you look at what's going on, you have to address what has occurred. A lot of times, many of the people who have suffered losses by family members and friends through gun violence, the people who did that didn't come from somewhere else. They're walking, talking, and living right in the communities where we are. So it's a twofold thing where we work on community development in terms of responsible behavior and identifying who's destroying the community. We have programs that do that right here. appointing and building block captains where people are now responsible to take lead of certain geographical areas. And they are the ones who we contact with, who bring everybody together, because every time we put an army together, we certainly need a general, we need a captain, we need a lieutenant, right within the circumference of where we are. So anybody looking to build needs to use that format, because if you think somebody outside the cipher is going to control what's going on in the cipher, that's insanity. Second part would be you have to deal with the dynamic of understanding the Black man has been removed not only from the home, but the community. So when they keep asking, where are the brothers at? Many of them have systemically and systematically been driven from the home. When you look at welfare, nobody talks about this, and we have programs that address this. It lets you see how welfare was designed to put the Black man out of his home. It was beneficial for those queens, those parents, those women to benefit better and make economic money more to their advantage to have the brother outside the home. So now it's almost become a condition in our condition where we're comfortable operating outside of our home. No, we have programs now where we bring these young brothers in. We talk about the importance of, even if many of them have fathers, their role and responsibilities as fathers, and allow them to evolve. And what I do is I bring in older brothers from the community who build in such a way where it's not a story that's being told, but it's something both of them have experienced. So here's the credibility you're searching for because you live right here in the community. So again, it's like when I came up, older brothers tightened us up and we was out of order. Like how I'm dressed right now is how I dress every day. I never learned the science of walking around my pants off my behind, because the brothers in my community would have tightened me up, and they didn't go for that. And I learned manhood is through that path. So I'm creating that same kind of venue now, where you're held to not only a standard, but a supreme standard. And if you don't speak and put that standard in place, then dysfunction will be there. And amongst our community, we have programs that deal with that. A lot of it is just dialogue, one, but also listening to the young brothers so they can hear where they're hurting, hear what they need. And then we also have an emphasis on workforce development. Because again, if young people have not had the discipline, the opportunity, experience to get up in the morning, go to work, to be able to stay on the job for a sustainable amount of time, to not take the first check and jump right back in the streets and flip it and get back into what we was trying to get you out of. These are all viable programs which address our issues internally. And the last piece is, again, we have the connection to the school system. Most of our babies go to school only looking for the social component of school, who they can connect with, what girls they can pick up, vice versa. When we have to use programs that we have here that again allows them to connect to career development opportunities, where they build, where they work on their purpose, they work on designing a career off of that, and they learn that school is the tool and jewel that is going to move you out of this impoverished community and reality into a better space and place. But your thing is not to exit, but to take those skills, get them, and if you decide to move forward, you reach back and come back and impact where you once walked, talked, and lived. So those are just a number of things that internally we have to do ourselves. Malcolm often said that no law enforcement agency could ever come in, police, elevate, cure, and heal our families, our communities. We have to do that. Yeah. And once we go back to creating the standards that our communities once had, where respect was the bottom and foundation, where we had a reverence for our babies and our women, where we respected our families, where we saw each other as extensions of ourselves, then we're less inclined to destroy one another, but we build with one another. And respect means acknowledgement. So even if you as a brother and me as a brother had a disagreement or a beef, I would simply respectfully leave you alone, bro. But now we go to 0 to 100 and look to destroy the only thing we have. So those are some of the variables we have to deal with when we talk about the internal healing and rebuilding of our community. And nobody outside of us can do that. We have to do that ourselves.
True indeed, true indeed. Well, God, our time is getting short, but before we go, I definitely want to make sure I give you acknowledgments. And on the Real to Real 360, we always give our brothers and sisters their accolades. So I'm giving you your flowers while you yet still live, because what you're doing and what you have just let us know, we know it's all about positively in the community and abroad. We know you doing your due diligence and you doing your duty, which is to civilize. So on behalf of Josh Amel and myself with the Real 360 show, I thank you. I am very thankful again for you coming on the show and blessing us with the jewels that you have just given us. And I hope that it reaches out to the masses of people all over. So everybody that's here listening and watching on the YouTube live or wherever, please send this all out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let us know that we're doing what we're supposed to do for you to bring you the truth. And like I said, to the God, Darren Freedom Green, peace and blessings once again. We love you. I love you from the heart, my brother. This is my brother in God, Freedom right here. So people, if you're ever in the Trenton, New Jersey area and you want to look out and make sure, go up there and see, make your contributions, join in the movement. Don't just be a out talk of it, but join in the movement, make matters move with your hands. Because the only thing that can move is the movement. All right. So always understand that. Yo, it's been a pleasure. And if there's anything you want to say right now, we still got a few more minutes, but I just want to give a shout out to anybody. It's all good. The floor is yours.
Okay, I want to say peace to you, God. Thank you for having me. Peace to the God, Josh Mel, for inviting me on. Sadly, couldn't be here, but we keep building forward and doing what we're doing. And again, want to give respect and peace to my tree again, Almighty Allah, Father, Firstborn Prince, God Supreme, Universal Jamel, and then my educator, K-Bar Allah, and then me, myself, God, Naya Allah. That's how I got it. That's the tree that I got it from. I want to always acknowledge those individuals who put the bricks in place to allow me to build in the majestic manner that I did and do. And again, I got it first from K-Bar Allah, but it was a brother named Knowledge Allah who walked me for land for 6 months, just talking to me about Allah. And what I did was embrace everything I could read and draw up about him. And I honestly and move from an authentic space of trying to replicate all that he did and does in terms of the political arena, the educational system, the community, as a mathematical ambassador for good. When people see me, I want them to have a supreme credibility that I'm there, and I'm committed to dying to make sure their lives are that much better. Peace to the God.
Peace to the gods. Ladies and gentlemen, I am DJ Wise, aka Kato, the Black Superhero, and this is the Real 360 show. You heard it here live from and direct from Trenton, New Jersey, with my brother in God, Darren Freedom Green. Peace and blessings to everybody. We're gonna be out. We out strong, but listen, it's always right when it's might. And do your due diligence. Be safe out there, and nothing but love. In the name of Allah, peace to the God.
Peace, God.